Hey guys, welcome back. This is Urban Legend Hunter. Tonight I've got 3 sinister true style stories from the Appalachian backcountry. The kind of encounters that don't leave you with answers, just a feeling that you saw something you shouldn't have. Sometimes, the most disturbing terror is what you can't see. Now, let's get into it. I was 21, doing seasonal trail work in Laurel Gap. The section we covered wasn't long, but it was rugged. No cell service, no road access, just 11 miles of overgrown track through steep ridges. We'd camp for 3 nights at a time to keep from hiking back and forth. One evening, I set out alone to refill a water bottle at a spring about a half-mile from camp. The path dipped into a hollow where the canopy was so thick, it felt like nighttime even though it was only late afternoon. I filled my bottle and sat on a rock to rest, and that's when I felt it, the sense of being watched. I turned slowly, half expecting to see a bear nosing around, but just nothing. Just trees pressed close on all sides. I shrugged it off and started back. But 20 yards up the trail, I heard leaves shifting behind me. Not a sudden crash, just one soft, careful step. I froze, waited, nothing. Took a few more steps and there it was again, the same slow crunch. I spun around, but the woods were empty. It went on like that the whole way back. 3 steps, pause, 1 step behind me. By the time camp came into my view, my nerves were shot. I hurried into the clearing, expecting the noise to stop, but my buddy Mark, who was tending the fire, looked up and asked, "Who came back with you?" When I told him I'd been alone, he just stared at me for a long second, then he said, "I swear I saw someone walk out of those trees right behind you." Locals in Pine Hollow talk about an unmarked track they call Lantern Road. Old-timers say if you see a swinging light out there, you'd better not follow it. Most folks laugh it off, but a buddy of mine swears it happened to him and his cousin. It was early November, cold enough that every breath hung in the air. They hiked in after dark, just to spook themselves. About a mile in the trail, though, the trail bent around a ridge, and that's when they saw it. A glow up ahead. Not bright lights like a flashlight, dimmer and yellowish, like an old bulb running out of power. They figured it had to be another hiker. When they called out, nobody answered. The light kept moving, slow and steady, bobbing just enough to look like it was being carried. They followed it for maybe 5 minutes before they realized the trail behind them had changed. The landmarks they passed on the way in, and logs, a split cedar, were now gone. The trees were tighter, the ground steeper. The light finally stopped at the base of the slope, just hovered there like it was waiting. Then, without warning, it lifted straight up, higher and higher until it disappeared into the branches. They panicked, tried retracing their steps, but every turn seemed wrong. It took them over 2 hours to stumble back to a gravel pull-off, even though the whole hike was barely a mile in daylight. To this day, my buddy won't drive that road after dark and still has no idea what happened. My cousin Paige inherited a hunting cabin on Sand Lake Ridge when her grandfather passed. She asked me to help clear it out. It was the kind of place you'd miss unless someone pointed it right at you. It was just a saggy shack half buried in the hillside, 30 minutes off the main road. The inside was worse than I expected. Mouse droppings everywhere, stacks of old magazines, jars of preservatives so spoiled the glass was clouded. The place felt heavy, like the air itself was stale. In the back room, we found boxes of notebooks, dozens of them, stacked neatly against the wall. Every page was the same, dates, times, and a short line written over and over. He came back. Some entries filled entire pages with just that one line. Others skipped a day or two, but didn't just resumed. The earliest were from the late 90s. The most recent was dated only a week before he died. Same shaky handwriting, same words. We tried to laugh it off as paranoia, but Paige said her grandfather never wrote like that before. He had been sharp until the end. And the strangest part, the last entry wasn't even finished. It just half read the sentence, then trailed off. Paige burned those notebooks that night. She said she didn't want them in her house, but I'll never forget how she looked at me before tossing them in the fire, like she wasn't even sure whether her grandfather had been crazy or if he'd been telling the truth.